Hey, Offer Vaulters. We're in for another treat. Our favorite expert and lovely sounding star from the West Coast, where it's sunny and warm and we really don't want to hear about the weather. Liane Carmi's here, and Liane's going to tell us all about AdSense and how it can change your life. And I don't know if it'll grow hair, but we're going to start off tonight, introduce the crowd to the whole concept. Liane, I've prepared one of those magic polls. I'm going to push the button. Now, either it will show up or we'll all get fired. So everybody hang on a second. And there you are. These are the questions for you to answer. You don't win any prizes. Well, maybe who knows, Liane will give you a prize, or maybe she'll let you take her place on public service. She can explain that if she wants. But tonight's subject is AdSense. So there you are. You've got 5 choices. Give us your answer on one of them only, and we'll take some stats and see who knows what they're talking about. And Liane, I'll shut up, and it's all over to you.
Wow, I'm watching these numbers. This is really interesting. Apparently a few people are buying a new boat next week.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get their numbers. We're going to get, I've backlogged them. We're going to track them down and see if we can get invited to their launches because, it's always nice to know somebody's out there making money. I know I never make a dime with the damn thing. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I've got 85 cents in my AdSense account, but I can't get collected.
Well, I get seasick, so I'm happy watching the whole bottle breaking from the dock. So, all right. So how do we show everyone the results? Can we do that?
Yeah, hang on a sec while I wave the one. Let me see. We still got a few people voting. Click the switch, folks. Don't worry. There's no wrong answer, and there's no penalty for answering. And we're not going to sell your answers to anybody from Washington D.C. or the Republican Party because God knows what they would do with it. But maybe we should start one of those. That's how they are going to elect it this time around. But hey, listen, we've got almost 75% of the folks voting, and it looks like we've got a pretty good response curve here. And I'm kind of surprised, to see that people are making money on this. That's a good sign. So I'm sure that these folks, the top of the curve is going to be very interested in what you have to tell them, Liane. And here come the results, folks. And Liane, you can explain that. And as I said, I'm going to go and grow hair. It's all yours.
All right. So, yes, how do we share the results? Do we need to close the poll? Here we go. Okay, cool. So are you making money with AdSense? Looks like yes, but only enough to buy the weekly paper. Yes, but not enough to pay the mortgage. Yes, I'm buying a new boat next week. That is awesome. It's 4% of you, so that's more than one person. About a third of you never tried or not sure what AdSense is. That's cool. You're going to get that answer today. For those of you who are in the first answer, yes, but only enough to buy the weekly paper. That was me just a few months ago. So let me preface this webinar by saying that what you're going to see today are not huge numbers, right? So I've got everyone can see my screen, right? Can you give me a quick yes?
Yep, it's all good. We can even see your laundry list.
My laundry list. I hope not. So as everyone can see, what I'm going to share with you is basically how I increased my AdSense earnings by 132% over 2 months. Now, what I want to tell you is that those are not big numbers because about 2 months ago, I was, basically, I was making just enough to buy the weekly paper, or not even that. So what I'm going to show you, first of all, if you've never tried using AdSense on any site, not sure what it is, maybe you kind of know, but you're not 100% sure, you're going to learn how to set up AdSense and how to make sure that your AdSense sites start to work, right? Now, if you're making a little bit, I'm going to show you what I did to make a little bit more and to increase your earnings consistently, which should be nice, okay? So instead of the paper, you can order a couple of magazines. And those of you who are buying a boat, hopefully what I'm going to show you can also help you increase your earnings. And hey, if you're buying a boat next week and you can increase your earnings by 132%, well, more power to you, get a helicopter, okay? So I just wanted to preface that and let you know that, I'm not some guru who's here to show you how to make $200, $300 a day on AdSense, because I'm not making that yet. But what I'm going to show you is some really good skills that are going to help you either A, get started, or B, kind of catapult your AdSense earnings if they're really low, really slow. And again, hopefully this helps you if you're making the big bucks. I really hope that some of the things that I share with you are new to you or kind of make you think about new things that you can do. And as always, those of you that experience, I love when you share. And so I've got the question queue open like I always do. I'm always looking at your questions. I'm always looking at your comments, and I'm always looking to share what you know and share with you what I know. So good, and I see, I'm just going to scroll through here and see if there's anything. So Randall apparently didn't vote because no, simple no was an answer. That's cool, Randall, no problem. Eric has made up to $100,000 a month a few months ago. That's awesome, Eric. So, you know, what changed? And Martin, your question, Martin's asking kind of a question that's not relevant to this webinar. I'll answer it real quick. He's saying, what is curation sites? Curation site is a site where you basically bring in other information and curate it. You take other information from the web and put it together in a way that allows people to find the information they're looking for. So you're not necessarily the author of the information, but you are the author of putting it together in a very presentable way. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because this webinar is not about curation. So awesome. So let's see, a couple of initial questions coming in here. Martin saying, thanks in advance, your content is always more than excellent. Thank you, Martin. I appreciate that. Appreciate you being here. Can I create a site combining AdSense with other affiliate offers? Daniel, yes, and I'm going to talk about that today. And Chuck says he doesn't have my picture. Well, you can find my website, and you can find me on Facebook, and plenty of pictures there. So, but you won't see it on this webinar. You should just be able to see my my screen, which right now I have on the OfferVault screen. So let's look at what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a little bit of an improvement that I had. Okay, so let's take a look at that. And I've got January pulled up. I want to pull up November. So here's a quick screenshot for my AdSense earnings in November. And it's for a site that I've shown you before, which is teachersbusiness.com. I'll show you the admin of that site today very briefly, just to show something for those of you who are starting out. And as you can see, I had, here's the website, and I can't see this, so I'm going to rearrange it real quick because your question box is overlapping the area I need to look at. So hopefully that's still big enough for you guys to see it. And here we go. So as you can see here, apparently I wasn't making anything with AdSense on the site until this date, right, in November. So what happened on this date? Well, I installed AdSense, and that's one of the first things I'm going to talk to you about is if you're anything like me, you've got like 50 sites sitting out there that don't have anything on them. And the first step that I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to show you in a minute, of getting more AdSense earnings is, install AdSense on your site. And there's more to it, and I'll get to that more. So, so in the month of November, I made $6.74. I'm not sure if that's enough to buy the weekly paper, but that's probably enough for about, 2 weekend editions of the New York Times or something, right? I don't know what the, stuff in the West Coast. I haven't bought a newspaper in years, but I remember the New York Times. So I'm going to say, like 2 issues of the Sunday Times. So, not too great. But you can see there's traffic going on in there, right? There were 2,000 page views, not bad. Well, let's look at another thing that I'm going to teach you today, which is custom channels. And I created a custom channel. I called it Teacher's Business Sidebar Bottom. That's where I put the AdSense ad on the bottom of my Teacher's Business page. And I'll show you that in a few minutes. And this is again in November, so about the same number of page views, and a little bit different, right? 2188 total, 2172. So obviously I didn't do this right away. And you can see that, again, the estimated earnings, if I can see them, $6.74 on that channel. Okay. And now we're going to move to December because, as the weeks went by, I kept thinking of new ways to improve this. So we're going to look at December. And in December, I made $28.99. So quite an improvement, probably because I actually had it running the whole time, right? I had AdSense installed. And the monthly earnings, again, $28.99. And you can see, there's ups and downs, and there's different things that you can do with this data, like which days do people come to my site and which days do they not. Okay, and there's other things to look at. We won't really talk about that today, but I'm happy to show that another day. Let's look at the custom channels in December. So it's still that Teacher's Business sidebar bottom. Okay, I'm going to show you how to create these today. And same figures almost, $29.14 here. Okay, and page views $47.99. Now notice a couple other things that will become more important, like the cost per click. Okay, 75 cents average here. Okay, the page click-through rate, how often people are actually clicking on the ad. And let's go from December to January. Now, December and January both had 31 days, right? I'm pretty sure. Let's see. I've got to count on my knuckles. Yeah. So both December and January have 31 days. I guess I could have just looked here. And so, all in all, things should have been the same in January. But when we look at January, the earnings increased to $47.19 that month. Okay. Why? Well, we have 8,195 page views. Now, I didn't get any like increased traffic to the site, really. Okay. But here's what happened. In January, I added another custom channel. I added a channel on top. As you can see, it wasn't added in the beginning of the month because it's got less page views, but it did increase earnings by almost $10. Okay, so what have we done so far? First of all, we've added AdSense to the site. Second of all, I've added an extra channel. Okay, pretty simple. Next, we're going to go to February, which is this month. I have a screenshot from yesterday. I didn't precede this by telling you guys that I've been on jury duty all week, and so I had to prepare really, really fast for this yesterday when I got home exhausted. So, so hopefully I haven't left anything out, but I didn't get a chance to today actually sit down because I got home, got on a webinar, got off the webinar, got on this webinar, so I knew I wouldn't have time. Anyway, so we've got 37, 53, and 965, and again in January total was 47.19. And we go to February, and now we're at 63.44 yesterday. And remember that January has 31 days. February, we're only looking at 27 days here. Okay, today, tomorrow, 2 more days in February. This is going to go up, and you can see that the daily earnings are much higher, right? So, and the page CTR is a little bit higher. And let's look at the custom channels in February, and you see the same channels and almost the same number of page views. Okay, there's actually more page views to the top, and that's because it's at the top of the page, right? So more people are seeing it when they open the page. Page CTR, it's a little bit different for each of these, very similar though. But check out the cost per click. I'm making more for this particular unit, the sidebar bottom, than I am for the top per click, okay, per click. And then the estimated earnings are almost $50, $48.35 for that sidebar and $15 for the top. Now here's another thing you don't know is that sometime in January, I actually added 2 of these units, and it wasn't the smartest thing I could have done. I should have added another channel and named it something else so that I could see the difference. And that's a step that I'm going to take, and I'll share with you today some more steps I'm going to take in the future that you can take as well, depending on where you are with your AdSense. But smartest thing to do is to separate each one so you can really see what does better there. And we'll talk about the different things that you can split test. But in any case, you can see that this unit is making a lot more for me than the top unit. And so the question is, first of all, why? Is it placement? Is it the type of ad? Is it that it's an image versus text, and so on? So I hope that kind of opened up your eyes a little bit and gave you real clarity on what can happen when you really start split testing and adding and changing things. And again, I want to talk today about how to do all of those things. So of course, I have PDFs for you.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yes.
The $68.78 question. CPC, that's not what you're paying. That's what you're getting. You're not paying to run any of this stuff. This is all free money, right? I mean, in the sense that you have your website running, but you're not paying to advertise.
No, this is, well, okay, so let's step back. Thank you for that question, Rick. So let's step back for a second and talk about AdSense versus AdWords. Because I guess, I'm coming into this and saying, oh, you guys know what it is, but about 30% of you aren't really sure. So when it comes to Google, they're basically, Google has their ad network, AdWords. And when you advertise on AdWords, you can do it in two ways. And let's pull up the search engine real quick. And of course, I'm pulling up my messages. I'm standing up today, by the way. I'm always sitting. Today I'm standing because I've been sitting all day in a jury room. So let's just pull up Google for a second. And let's just search for HDTV. That used to be the thing to search for. Not so much anymore. No ads on the side today. So let's add something else. I do see ads here, but let's see, LCD TV. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is AdWords right here. People are paying for this. If I click on one of these, the company that is paying for these ads is gonna pay for my click, for me going to their website. And how they pay depends on how good their ad is, their quality score, and a bunch of other things, right? And this is search, right? When you advertise on AdWords, you can advertise search or content. So this is search. Now let's go to Wikipedia real quick, and we're gonna look for big LCD TVs on Wikipedia. And does Wikipedia have ads on the side? No, Wikipedia doesn't have ads. Let's do our Google search again, actually, and let's just find a website. Okay, Overstock, Best Buy. Let's go to, let's see, the CNET, and I just want to show you a site that has ads on the inside. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let's close this, and here are a bunch of ads. Okay, now I don't know if these are Google or another ad network, right? But these are the equivalent of what AdSense would be. So this is content network. Now, let's imagine for a second. Let's imagine that these are Google AdWords ads, right? I don't think they are, but let's imagine that they are. And, oh, they are. Google ads that double click. So if I click on this, I don't pay anything, obviously, right? I'm just clicking on something. Here's what happens. The person who is advertising, okay, the person who wants me to go to their site, the Sony Bravia website, is going to pay for that click, okay? And in addition, part of what they pay is going to go to CNET, who is hosting their ads, who's got content that's good enough to get them on the first page of Google. Okay, that's how we found them. And they're allowing a space for these ads to show up that match the keywords on their page.
In other words, it's kind of like watching TV and the network puts a commercial out there and your local station gets a piece of the pie just because they let it go out on their airtime, right? That's exactly it.
That's exactly it. Right. And that's really important because there are actually a couple of things that happen with AdSense that I'll talk about today that make it a really attractive option for a new website. Okay, or if you're not sure what to do with your website to monetize, it's a really attractive option, and I'll explain exactly why and how it can make you a lot of money beyond actually the clicks that you pay for. So in any case, this is AdSense. To CNET, they can log in, and you can see how much stuff they have installed here. They can log into their AdSense account, and they can see the clicks that they've gotten here, what they've gotten paid for, and so on. Okay. And to all these other guys, this is AdWords. Okay, so those two work together again. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to go through your questions real quick, and then I'll get to the PDFs, and we'll start going through all the improvements you can do, and then we'll take a step back and go through the step-by-step of actually setting this up. All right, so Gary asked, what was your starting AdSense earnings before the 132%? It was pretty much like 28 cents or maybe 32 cents for a year. All right, Gregory has 93 sites with AdSense, can only get them to about 5th or 10th place on Google. So income is very small, around 100 per month, and going down. Hope you can help. I hope so too. That's my goal today, Gregory. So hopefully some of the stuff I show you is going to kind of turn on some light bulbs and get you to try something new. All right, Federico says, which is the best keyword search tool? Google.com and Google AdWords keyword tool, and I will be using those today. Daniel says, like to know WordPress theme you might recommend that works best. Daniel, I don't have a favorite. I kind of like what is it called? There's one that you can actually edit on your own. It's someone remind me of the name if you think of it. But I'll just go and search themes for the color that I want for that particular niche and the columns that I want, and I'll usually use a free one. So I don't have there's not one that works best per se. All right, Eric says, how does AdSense work? And also CPA that can get me started into making money. Yeah, so Eric, that's exactly what we're talking about today. So if you just stick around to the end of the webinar, I'm actually also going to give you a chance to get all those documents and the step-by-step documents that we're working with. And we will talk about CPA today as well, to a limited extent, but we will talk about it. And Ruth has a question. She says, hi, Liane, I'm getting traffic, like 153 page views, but no clicks, and my estimated earnings are still 0. How can I improve that? Okay, we'll talk about that today, Ruth. So good question. Darren says he can't see the whole page. Darren, I have a large screen. See if you can expand your GoToWebinar display screen, and that should do it for you. Okay, and if not, let me know in the question box. Can I recommend a WordPress plugin? I'll talk about that, Daniel. Again, I don't have favorites except for the ones I use to just my basic setup of WordPress, which I'll give you access to. Eric, not sure what that is. If you can give me that link again and explain what it is, I might share it. Darren says, what is the add-on you have to show the scripts the site has? It's Ghostery, and I need to move my question box to see it. And it's this guy right here. Okay, it's called Ghostery. It's spelled like ghost, G-H-O-S-T, and then E-R-Y. And I highly recommend it. It's a Firefox plugin. Helps you see what's going on different sites, and gives you new places you can go and advertise on. And like if I wanted to advertise here, I would look at that list and say, okay, well, maybe I can't advertise on Google because my account got got banned last week, but maybe I can use Pulse 360 or whatever else they had on there. So good question, Darren. I'll actually put that here in case anybody else wants it. I'll send it to everybody. All right, Malcolm, I haven't shared that yet. So Patricia says, did you enable placement targeting for the channels? Patricia, I did. I did for some, and I didn't for others. And I don't know how big of a difference that makes yet. I don't have the data on that. Okay, and Darren, I think you asked that twice, and I answered it. Is this your photo on Teacher's Business website? Nope, it's not. Thesis, thank you, Chandra. So Thesis is the one that that I like to edit stuff with, but it's a paid one. So you can do a lot of stuff with free themes, and most of my sites run on free themes that are just like the color and the shape that I want for that particular niche. Steve says, how can I laser target the ads that Google puts on my site so they're relevant to the traffic coming to my site? Steve, that has to do with keywords, and we're going to talk about keywords. Okay. And by the way, guys, right now we're at the start of the webinar, there's a lot of stuff I haven't talked about yet. So some of you might want to hold your questions till a little bit later. Otherwise, if I sort of answer your question, but then you want to expand on it later after we go through some things, please ask it again later. Okay. Derek says, can you talk about Google AdSense smart pricing? I'm not sure what that is, Derek. Okay, Mike says, if a certain ad produces more clicks, is there a way to ensure that ad shows on your page more often? All right, so I'm starting to see a lot of really good questions like this one that I want to get to later. So I'm going to pause with the questions. I see the question queue growing and growing and growing. So I'm going to pause for a second there. I'll come back to all those after we get through some more content because it's really late. We started late. I want to make sure I share this stuff with you guys. And then anyone who has to go early can go knowing they've gotten everything, and anyone who wants to stay and ask me a million questions can do that. So good. So we've talked about what AdSense is. We showed my extreme earnings on AdSense, if you can call them that. Definitely extreme, when it's been 0 forever. So let's start looking at some of these files that I put together for you. And this first one is just a little mind map called AdSense earnings, and I want to walk you through this and some things that you can do. And the first thing, and this is when you're setting up your site or when you're improving on it, and this is something this keyword research portion is something new that I learned that I am doing now. Okay, so I didn't do this before. And so like in a few months, when we talk about my AdSense earnings, we're going to see the results from this. Some of you who are just starting out are going to do this before you start. Very powerful. Some of the questions that I've seen in here, this is going to answer those questions, okay? So keyword research, if you've seen me do keyword research, you've seen me talking about the 1,550K guideline, right? Where you kind of want to have less competition, and that's, when you do a search and phrase match on Google, you want to have a lower amount of competition. But at the same time, you want to have, at least 1,500 global monthly searches when you're looking at the AdWords keyword tool. Okay, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, I've explained that in several webinars, so I'm happy to point you to those. But when you do keyword research for AdSense, there's some slight differences there, because what happens is you don't only want to go for that low competition. You still want to have that because you want to be able to get your site on the first page of Google. But in addition, you want to look for high cost per click keywords. So remember, when we looked at the images of my earnings, I showed you the cost per click, and that's when Rick kind of pointed out, hey, am I paying that? And I said, no, I'm getting that. Other people are paying more per click to have those ads on my site because they're working there, right? Their ads are working there, they like them, they're competing for them, and they're paying more for them. So what you want to do is look for high cost per click keywords. And I'm going to step out of this and show that to you in a second. I just want to show you the rest of it, which is, of course, higher search volume is always better. Okay, that's never changed. And the more search volume you have, the more people are going to be looking and finding your site. And higher competition is better. More competition means more people vying for that ad space, okay, which means more chance of you getting paid more. And people pay more for clicks with these keywords, which means you make more per click, okay? And you still want to mix in that long tail for easier ranking. Okay, now, those of you who were on my webinar a few weeks ago, you got the step-by-step document. If you don't have that, you can sign up for it still. And this is also where I'm actually going to put all these documents. I'm actually going to send those to you probably in 2 days or so. So if you want that, if you want the other stuff, make sure you sign up for this. And I'll show you what that looks like. That's on my blog. And if you go to yourwebprosperity.com/blog/bonus, and I'll just put that in the queue right now for you. And okay, so if you haven't signed up for that, just plug in your name and email and get that, and I will also send you this other stuff once I review it, because like I said, I needed to get ready in like an hour yesterday, being exhausted after sitting in court all day. So let's go back to our document here. And so let's talk about the keywords. So again, we're looking for high CPC, higher search volume, higher competition, and mixing in some long tail, okay? So let's go to the AdWords keyword tool. And I am logged in, that's good. And all right, so somebody give me a keyword phrase. Somebody give me a niche, a keyword, anything. Okay, stock, SEO, low carb diet, RN nursing. Interesting, Warren. Okay.
I wonder if the guy who wants to do yacht charter is the one who's already buying the boat with his AdSense revenue.
Bruce, are you? Let's put a couple of these in here just for fun. Hair loss we got from Anselmo. iPad. Raised bed gardening. Really, Ron? What is that? Raised bed. I gotta put that in here just because I have no idea what that is. Personal finance. All right, let's take a look at those. Thank you for all your niches, guys. These are great. Acupuncture, how to lose weight and keep it off. That's a good one, Linda. All right. So first of all, let's just look at these terms that we got. And notice, first of all, that I've got this approximate CPC column here. If you don't have that, and usually you don't, you just go to columns and add it. You just check mark it, okay? You can add any of this stuff, right? But I just want to see CPC. And I'm actually going to sort by CPC, okay? Because notice everything's a mix, right? I'm going to sort by CPC. All right, so if I was going to go for one of these niches, it would be for nursing. Like if I wasn't sure what I was really interested in, I think I'd go for nursing because it's got a higher CPC. But let's look at some of these. Online nursing degree. Look at this cost per click. Look at this. Imagine if your website was full of content on online nursing degrees, online RN programs, online degrees, nursing schools online. I mean, imagine what kinds of cost per click you would be getting. So who gave me that errand stuff? Let me look. So Oren, if this is your niche, go for it. And look at this. It's all the top stuff is these online schools, Florida nursing schools. I mean, these little keywords that you might not even think about. Okay, look at the global monthly searches for Florida nursing schools, 18,100, $22 per click. Now, it's very likely that this is also high competition, right? But let's look because you never know, right? So I'm going to take this and I'm going to go here to google.com and we're just going to plug this in with quotation marks, okay? And we've got, oh my gosh, 53,300 results. Okay, so let's do a quick review of keyword research for those of you who haven't seen keyword research with me before, because I did glance at a quick question about what is a long tail keyword. So a keyword phrase, a short keyword phrase, short tail would be nursing schools. Florida nursing school is a longer tail keyword. You can go even longer tail than that using Google Suggest, right? We can rank them, list, BSN, whatever that means, right? I think that's a kind of type of degree, right? So these are all long tail phrases. And what you do is, and here's online as well, what you do is, as you're looking for something, if we just look for nursing schools, for example, and I'll actually put that in quotation marks as well, which shows me my exact match competition. There's 4.46 million results. Very difficult to rank for something like this, and that's why we look for the longer tail. So, for example, we had Florida nursing schools, and we're down to 53,000. My guideline is less than 50,000 in exact match, which is this, or phrase match, some people call it, and at least 1,500 global monthly searches. We go back to the AdWords keyword tool. This is at least 1,500 times, I don't know how much, but 18,000 is way more than 1,500. This is a super keyword phrase. The cost per click, $22.54. If you created a website and this was one of your pages on your WordPress site that ranked on Google, which would be easy to do because it's only 53,000 in competition, okay, 53,300 in competition, okay, you would be making a lot of money per AdSense click on your site, okay. And another thing we're going to take a look at is the competition, and very high, okay. So very likely that someone will be vying for that spot on your website to advertise with their banner or their text ad, okay. So that's what we're looking for here. We're looking for these high competition keywords that give you a really high cost per click. This is high cost per click, right? What am I getting per click? About, less than $1, maybe, $3 one day if I'm lucky for a certain ad. Well, this particular keyword is fantastic, right? Online nursing degree, probably also another one, but you can look up any of these, right? Associate degree in nursing might be another one. So these are all keywords, keyword phrases that you can grab for your website, and if a whole bunch of them have very low competition, you're going to have a really easy time ranking your site, and you're going to be on this first page here, okay, even on the second page. So that is the idea that I wanted to get across here, okay, when you're doing the keyword research. And again, how is that different from when you're creating affiliate sites? Well, when you're creating an affiliate site, you're less worried about the cost per click, right? Because if you're not thinking about putting AdSense on there, you're not thinking about, oh, well, how much is this worth? You're just thinking about, what can I promote, okay? But this is a really good thing to start thinking about, even with your affiliate sites, and we'll talk about why. All right, so this is the first step for making money with AdSense, is doing the keyword research. Now, once you've done that, and if you have a site, you might add some pages to the site in the niche, or you might decide that you just want to try using it with your keywords. Either way, the first step to make money from your site with AdSense is to place AdSense on your site. Okay, it's, you know, DUH, right? Duh. But it's something that I know I have a lot of sites, again, and I didn't do, and I'm sure a lot of you also aren't doing it with a lot of your sites. So 3 units per page on your site, that's the maximum, and that's what you should put. Okay, and sometimes you'll find that, you know, 1 unit is doing better than another, and we'll talk about that. Now I've got a link for you here, and you'll have this live link, and this is for a little help file on AdSense, and it's right here. This is where it goes, and it's got kind of an image of a basic website and different areas that you might have content. Okay, and you want to think about a few things. First of all, is your ad above the fold or below the fold? Now, note that when we looked at my images, you saw that the ad that I had above the fold was not making as much as the ones below the fold. So it's not necessarily that important, but they're showing you some areas where, you know, people are more likely to click, these bright orange, these lighter orange, and then less likely in the yellow, and then, you know, barely even seen in the footer, on the side, etc. Okay, on the right side. So that's just something to consider as you're creating your site, or as you're adjusting your site, as you're deciding, well, where should I try to put content? But again, note that my AdSense on my site, I'll show you that in a second here, I've got ads here that are making more than this one right here. Okay, let's pull that up real quick. Okay, so here's Teacher's Business, and this is interesting. I haven't seen this ad here before. And here is one of the sidebar ads that I told you about. Okay, and it's definitely below the fold. Okay, and here's the other one way down here on the bottom. Okay, obviously, I want to take steps to separate these, right, to make these 2 different things, because otherwise I can't tell which is doing better. Is it this one that's getting the clicks, or is it this one? And this, these ads actually go throughout my whole entire site. No matter what I click, you're always going to see these same ads. There's going to be an ad on top. Okay, now it says find jobs in your area. I've got a, you know, kind of a different set of keywords on this category page. More stuff here on the side, and again, another one here. And this time we've got one of those university ads, which I'm assuming are one of the ones that are making me more money, because the school stuff is killer. I mean, they'll pay big bucks to advertise. So these are my placements that I started with, and the first one I started with was way down here on the bottom. Those were my my November, December, beginning of January earnings, and then this was added in January, and then this was added as well. Okay, so just to give you some context. So let's go back here, and again, the first step: place AdSense on your site once you've done keyword research. Now, here's the next step, which is something that I'm working on, which is split testing to increase your earnings. Okay, so let's talk about that. First of all, you want to decide where to position the 3 ad units, and I showed you AdSense, the Google AdSense suggestions, right? And you know, a couple more things: top, bottom, left sidebar, right sidebar, left inside sidebar, right inside sidebar, above the fold, below the fold, inside content, which I'll talk about how to do that in the step-by-step document, and lots more. Okay, and I'm referring to this link right here, which we just looked at. A couple more things that you can split test other than positions is, what kind of ad is it going to be? Is it going to be a text ad or an image ad? And what I'm going to say is that allow Google to determine that for you. Allow Google to pick the one that they think works best. Because here's something I want to get across to you with AdSense, is that AdSense is not ads that you pick to place there and they stay there. It's an ad unit that is dynamic, and it works off of several elements. The first one being keywords on your site, which is why it's so important for us to do the keyword research. The second element that's really important is that there is someone on the other side of that ad. Okay, there is a person who is advertising, and that person is determining what's working for them. And hopefully they're a smart advertiser, and they're saying, this is making me money and this isn't. Right? When I put a nice colorful banner ad here, I make, you know, X amount of dollars. But when I put a text ad, that amount goes down. Or when I put a text ad, that amount goes up. And so what you've got is, you've got a couple of levels of optimization that you have nothing to do with, right? Your optimization is, where can I put this? And at the same time, you've got someone else doing some optimization for you. AdWords is optimizing. They want to make sure that the ad gets clicks. Okay, so what you're learning from Google is which of the ads on this page are getting the best click-through rates. And you see that in your stats on AdSense. Click-through rates means of all the times that the ad is seen, how many times is it clicked on? Okay, very important to note that, because we're going to take it a step further in a second. Okay, so remember that. CTR, your click-through rate. The next thing is whether if it's a text ad or even if it's a banner ad, does the color match the site, mismatch the site? And that's your choice, okay? So that's something that you can adjust, right? So it was my choice here on this site to make it match, okay? I wanted it to kind of fit in, to look like the rest of the site. It's black and blue and gray. It pretty much matches the site, whereas this one really stands out, okay? And that can cause banner blindness sometimes, all right? But at the same time, and this one stands out as well, but makes money, right? So what I like to do, again, is whether it's a banner or text, I want to let other people determine that. And I'll tell you again, this is always a banner. I've never seen this text. This is always text. I've never seen it a banner. And this is almost always a banner, not always, okay? And I'm looking to see a few things, and we'll talk about those things, okay? So whether it's text unit or image unit, let the advertiser decide that for you, okay? Let them decide that for you. Okay, and we're going to take that a step further. So far we've talked about keyword research. We've talked about placing AdSense on your site, which is like the first step to making money with AdSense is have it on your site. And don't worry if you're not sure how. I'm going to walk you through that step by step. And next we're going to split test. Okay, the positioning, you're going to let AdWords and the advertisers split test themselves, whether it's going to be a text unit or an image unit. And I'll show you how to set that up. And then you're going to pick, if it's text ad, you're going to pick what kind of coloring do you want to use? Do you want it to stand out or do you want it to blend in? Okay. Now, what do you do moving forward with this? And this has to do with some of your questions about CPA. Moving forward, you want to keep track of repeat ads. So just like I told you, I open this website almost every day and I take a look at these ads and I look at the different pages and see what ads pull up. Okay, so for example, again, I clicked on job opportunities for teachers and I got find jobs in your area, job openings, get teaching credentials, become a teacher, and great teachers start here. Okay, so a school. We pick another site, teacher stress. Let's see what shows up. So Discover Social Studies. I have no idea. I've never seen that ad before. That just seems weird to me. Now this is, again, text ads here for teaching certificate for major depressive disorder and to become a yoga therapist of all things. And I don't know if I've got yoga in here anywhere or if they're just thinking about, relaxing, reducing stress. And then now we've got continued employment, and I didn't get to read that before it. Claim forms. Okay, so I don't even know what that is. California Employment Development. So part of that is because I'm in California, I see this ad. So you might see something else in your location. But the idea is that they're looking at keywords on my page, okay? So keep that in mind. And some pages are going to get more money for those clicks, all right? So, obviously another thing I can personally test is I can have different ads and different channels on each page of my site in order to see which of my pages is pulling in more money, okay? Lots of things you can split test. I'm starting with a very basic placement on the entire site. So, so we're keeping track of repeat ads. Okay, I'm looking at colors. What colors do the ads use? If it's a banner ad, obviously, right? If it's an image ad. I'm looking at what text they have, whether they're a banner or whether they're a text ad, what are they saying? And calls to action, that's part of the text, right? What are they telling people to do? Are they telling people to click? What are they offering, right? Types of offers. And again, where on the site those particular offers are located. So let's look at a screenshot real quick. We'll go back here, and I want to show you this screenshot I took of my main page. And this is a Comcast ad that shows up a lot. Now remember, this is a unit that doesn't make me a lot of money, but I still want to see, why is Comcast advertising so much on my website? Why are they doing it, right? Comcast has nothing to do with teachers unless teachers just get home and watch TV, which is possible. Or if they just, I don't know if their person is just saying, oh, just get advertising out everywhere. I don't know what the deal is. All I know is that I've seen this ad on my site numerous times over several weeks and months. And that usually says to me, yeah, it's probably working for them. So they've got an offer with an expiration date. They've got lots of numbers on here. 37% savings, $24.95 per month. They've got their phone number so people can actually dial it without clicking, which is really sneaky, right? Like, I still get clicks on this, but some people might just be dialing the number, right? They've got a nice call to action, get it now. Lots of reasons for people to click on here. So I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at the colors they're using, and I'm looking at all this text and all these call to actions, and that they have a lot of numbers on there. All right, so that's what I mean by keeping track of these ads. It's like, if something's showing up a lot, that's because there's someone on the other side of that, and they're doing some optimization. All right, and guys, I know you've got a lot of stuff in the question box. I apologize for not looking at that in the last few minutes. I just want to get through this, and then we'll go through some questions, and then I want to give you the step-by-step. All right, so what do you do moving forward, right? So you're keeping track of things, and you're paying attention. And what you're going to do is find some similar CPA ads. Okay, so what do? Well, search OfferVault or search Google. And CPA ads, by the way, for those of you who aren't familiar, are cost per action ads. So Adsense, you're getting paid per click. CPA ads, you're getting paid per action, whether that's a lead or a sale or a phone call. Okay, that's CPA. And so if you look on OfferVault.com, let's switch to OfferVault, then we can actually go to the main page. Main page of OfferVault. We can search for something. So let's look for Comcast and see if it's there. I don't know if there's any offers for Comcast. And I didn't find anything. I know that DirecTV usually has something, and that might be equivalent. So let's look for that. Okay, and so there's some DirecTV offers, and I can look at the payout and what they're giving it for. This is $76 for a lead, it says, on point click track. And if you haven't used OfferVault fully, this is the power of OfferVault. It's your ability to go in here and find whatever the heck you want and find the best deals on it. Because you might see something that pays a lot, but you're like, I don't know this company, but I know let's say as seen on TV, right? And so you might decide to pick this one even though it's a lower payout because you think it has more trust value. Or you could look, if you have the same exact offer several times on different networks, you can see, hey, these guys are paying $5 more per lead or $20 more per sale. Why would I bother going to the other network, right? Or you could split test 2 different networks and see what happens. Some of them scrub, some of them don't. Okay, so the idea is use OfferVault and find something similar, and either it has banners and you can say, okay, well, which banner looks like the one that is succeeding on my site apparently because it keeps showing up, or you can create your own and have it look very similar. Okay, so that's number 1. Now, what if you don't find it? Like, I didn't find Comcast on here. Well, all I'm going to do is go to Google, and I'm just going to type in Comcast affiliate. Okay, and lo and behold, ComcastSpecial.com/affiliate. Okay, so all I would do is go in there and sign up, and I'll check out some of these other programs. Looks like Symbology has a cable affiliate program. Right, so you might look at recommendations. Here's Comcast, might have something on there. Just look through and see what's the best for you. And now you can actually, again, change your site from the AdSense, put the CPA ad there and see how you do. And again, because you've got some data on the click-through rates, right? You know what kind of click-through rates you're getting for that position of the ad, for that particular ad that keeps showing up. And you know they're making money on it because it keeps showing up. You can use that to your advantage to make more money. Okay, and what do? Well, you sign up to the networks, or you sign up for the affiliate program, and you promote. You use proven ads that you've seen on your site over and over and over again. And don't be shy. Take screenshots. Okay, take screenshots of ads on your site. Okay, so again, the power of AdSense, and this has to do with a question I saw earlier, and I'll go back to the questions now. The power of AdSense is that someone else is doing the optimization for you. There's very little optimization for you to do. Your optimization is positioning and color for text ads. That's your optimization. The rest is just keeping track of what other people are doing to optimize and what ads are showing up. Okay. If you're starting out, you'll do keyword research. I'll go through the step-by-step. And if you are in the middle, you can add more pages, add more posts to your WordPress blog for good keywords that will get a higher dollar amount per click. All right, so I have ignored your questions for long enough. After this, we're going to switch to the step-by-step for those of you who want to get started. And let me find where I ended off before, and I will try to really quickly answer as many questions as I can. And if you have a question that I didn't answer yet, do me a favor, wait till a little bit later to ask it again, because the question box is really big right now. So I just want to find where I was, and holy cow, I'm like way at the top here. Okay. And Eric asked earlier, how does AdSense work, and also CPA that could get me started. So Eric, let me know if that's kind of answered your question. All right, and Ruth asked earlier, I'm getting traffic, 153 page views, no clicks. Estimated earnings are still 0. So out of 153 page views, yeah, you should be getting some clicks already. So the question is placement, first of all, right? Where do you place your ad? And Ruth, maybe you can think of some other things that I mentioned that might change things. Maybe you've got image ads and you want to change them to text ads. Maybe you want to change the color of your text ads. Because even on sites that I've got very little traffic on, I'm still getting clicks. All right, so good. Let's keep scrolling down. And I'm looking for where I left off. And I remember Patricia's question about placement targeting. Okay, so Steve asked earlier, how can I laser target the ads that Google puts on my site so they're relevant to the traffic coming to my site? With keywords, okay? Keywords are what does it. Other than that, there's no laser targeting until you're ready to go CPA. But you don't want to, Steve, and the reason you don't want to, other than picking the right keywords for your site and having good content, is that it might surprise you what makes money. It might surprise you. And if you think of people who make money with CPA doing cost per view advertising, where they pop up ads on people's sites, the strangest things, the strangest niches will make money on something totally different, okay? On something totally mismatched. Matching works, but sometimes so does mismatching if you get the right demographic. So instead of trying to control everything, allow other people to do the optimization, because they will, because they're paying money for it. You're just making the money. Allow them to do optimization. You work on optimizing your site and improving your content and having good keywords, and the rest will happen on its own. And all you need to do is watch. So Derek asked me earlier about AdSense Smart Pricing. I actually don't know what that is without looking it up. If you give me a little hint, I might know what it is without knowing the term, or I might not. So just give me a little hint in the question box. So Mike said, if a certain ad produces more clicks, is there a way to ensure that that ad shows up on your page more often? Mike, it probably will. If it's making money, it probably will. And that's the answer to that. Okay, because again, someone else is optimizing. Robert says, what will get your AdSense account banned? Robert, I'm not sure, but you should read the terms of service for AdSense, because I know there are things that will get you banned. I just don't know what they are offhand. I usually read the terms and then I follow them, and I don't think about it much. And I create, as you guys know, I always create my workflows, and then I don't get to think about things that I'm not supposed to do too much. I just think about what I need to do. So I don't know. All right, Jude says, I just need some help in increasing my AdSense earnings. So apparently Jude has a screenshot, and for the sake of time, I'm not going to pull that up, but Jude says very pathetic. Jude, it can't be more pathetic than the 32 cents I had sitting in AdSense for about 3 years. It cannot be more pathetic than that. And if it is, that's okay, because look what I turned it into, right? Do the same thing, and you should be able to succeed with that as well. Steve says, is it better using just text ads or text and reach media? So I answered that throughout, but I'll answer it again. Both. Let someone else optimize. Gary asked much earlier, are you getting more technical? How technical will you be going? Gary, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you step by step through setting up AdSense. So if you are very advanced, you don't want to stay, that's cool. No worries. But if you have a technical question, if you ask it, I will gladly answer. Amy says, can't see anyone's questions. That's because only I can see them. Michael says, is there a recommended WordPress theme to use for optimal effectiveness with AdSense? So let's talk about finding things real quick, okay? Here's my dashboard for Teacher's Business, and let's go to Appearance and Themes. And I'm not going to change my themes right now, but I'm going to go to Install Themes, and I'm going to do a search, and I'm going to put AdSense and do a search for that. And they're going to give me a couple of themes that are good for AdSense, okay? And you can do the same thing, okay? And again, I use lots of free themes. Are there paid themes that are good for AdSense? Yeah, sure. But why pay when you can get so many options for free? And you know what? One of them is going to work. This one looks fantastic here, for example, okay? Lots and lots of options. You can match colors to your niche. Blue Grace looks like a good AdSense theme. We've got 2 columns here. So many options that there's just no need to have one or pay, right? You don't want every site looking the same. So, all right, good. Mitch says, just added AdSense to my site. Am I able to place 2 AdSense blocks on the same page? Yeah, you can put 3, Mitch, and I'm going to walk you through that process of setting everything up and setting up your channels. Okay, got it, Eric. So Eric gave me a link earlier, and it was just to show the AdSense ads.
I went and looked around and did some high-level research on smart pricing, AdSense smart pricing. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's Google lying through its teeth about how they figure out how much it costs and how they decide who's committing a fraud and who isn't and what's good and what's bad. It's an internal decision-making process, and there is no specific smart price versus non-smart price equation. So it's their way of estimating whether or not your content is worth more than someone else's based on a bunch of factors and whether or not you're committing click fraud.
Got it. Okay. And click fraud would be, like sending extra people to your site, having people click on your ads and saying click here and all that kind of stuff right above your ads. Okay, well, that makes sense. So better quality content. And somebody asked way in the beginning of the webinar before we started, what are curation sites? Curation sites are a great place to put AdSense ads, and Google loves them right now. So yeah, so if that's an issue, if you're thinking, how can I make more money? Sure, create a curation site. Make your WordPress blog posts curation posts. Dow says, can any site use AdSense? Yeah, pretty much. It's just a little code. I'll show you that code in a minute once I get through some of these questions. It's just a code that you place on your site, and you don't even have to have a WordPress site. You can put it on an HTML site, and here's an example of it. The Drudge Report. I don't know how many of you know this. This is a curation blog, by the way. Not a blog. It's a curation website. And it's this guy just puts together all these news links, and every once in a while there's a little ad. Okay, and this guy makes a lot of money from these ads. Okay, so yeah, and this is just like an HTML site. I don't even think this is WordPress or anything close to it, and hope not, because it looks too ugly to be WordPress. So it's an example of ugly makes money. In here, the 2 ads. Okay. So let's look at some more of these. Steve says, can you place Google AdSense in a right sidebar without having any content in that space? Yeah. You want to have content on the website, otherwise nobody's going to ever go to your website or find it. Plus, Google's not going to know what to show you, right? It's not going to know what ads to show if there's no keywords on the page. But in that space itself, yeah, you don't need anything in. And actually, let's look at that. And I'm going to show you this again in a second when we do the step-by-step. We'll just go to my widgets. And I've got widgets on the right sidebar. And here's my bottom widget right here. And this is an AdSense code. You can see my pub ID here, right? That's all that is. So there's nothing else here. I don't even have a title for it. And that just shows up, right here. This is what's happening, right? It shows up on the bottom sidebar. I know it says right sidebar, but the thing is edited a little bit, so it's left sidebar, but same difference. So yes. So the answer is yes, Steve. In addition to WordPress, do you use Blogger? Asks Robert. No, I don't. I know I have some sites on Blogger, but I don't. WordPress.com, Blogger.com. I use those as web tool sites. I use those to promote my sites. I don't use those as my websites. WordPress, I use WordPress.org. Basically, I install WordPress on my host, which is why you can go to my website, .com, and there's WordPress on there. Mitch says, will he show us how to add channels? I just use yeah, I'm going to show you that, Mitch. Thanks for asking. All right, Mitch says, today I have 5 days, 24 page views, 4 clicks, no money earned is showing. Yeah, AdSense takes a while to figure out how much your site's making, and then, they say one thing and then they change it, and usually they raise it higher. At least that's been my experience. Just give it a little while for them to get used to your site. But that's great, Mitch. It's great that you're starting to make money on it. All right. Good. Yes, there will be a replay. All right. I'm just sorry. There's so many questions. I'm just kind of scrolling through. So if I don't answer your question, I apologize. I just I'm a bit exhausted today from having jury duty for the last I don't know how many days since Thursday. So I just want to make sure I get your important questions answered, and then and I still want to walk you through the step-by-step. So Darren says, here's my tips to not get banned. 1, never put ads between the title of the page and the content. Okay. 2, never put ads beside images on the page, always beside content. Okay. And 3, do not have more than 1 ad placement above the fold. Thank you. That is awesome. Thanks for that. And guys, a lot of times Google will kind of let you know, right? They'll send you an email and say, hey, this isn't working for us for whatever reason. Okay. All right. So we're doing good here. I'm up to the part where I asked you about 34 minutes ago about niches. All right. Right. So there's a couple of questions here about my keyword research. Let's pause here. I'm at 1903 for the questions, and I'd like to walk you through the step-by-step, and then I will go and answer every single question that is left in here. And please take it easy on me today. I know, like, in the past times I've stayed like an hour and a half to answer questions. I don't know if I'm capable of that today, but I will do my best to keep energized for you. So let's go back to our documents here. And I keep pulling up the wrong things. You can see I'm not at the top of my game today. Let's switch to the step-by-step. This is if you have not done this before. You're not sure how, this is for the 30% of you that maybe haven't set up the site before, haven't set up WordPress, haven't set up AdSense, not sure exactly what it is. And a little bit for those of you who've done it, but, could use a little bit of extra step-by-step help. And we'll show you some screenshots of setting up channels and ads. And basically the process is pretty simple. First step is to create a WordPress blog. And those of you who don't have the instructions from my webinar a couple of weeks ago, again, you can just go to yourwebprosperity.com/blog/bonus and get it there. And I will send this file to that list, just like it says here. It'll probably take me about 2 or 3 days to get that out to you. That's if you're here live. If you're watching the replay, it'll be like, immediate almost, maybe 2 days after you get the first one or 1 day after they get the first one. But I do want to, probably edit it a little bit and, remove this thing. This is probably unnecessary. All right, so let's say you already have a WordPress blog where you're going to do some additional keyword research, okay? And again, you're going to find those high competition keywords that are high cost per click, okay? And just like I showed you earlier, you're going to search for your main keyword using the AdWords keyword tool. And if you don't have the CPC showing up, you want to go ahead and click on the columns on the right and check mark that so you can see it. Again, once you find the high cost per click, pick the high competition keywords and also look at the search volume. Okay, higher search volume is better, and you're looking at the global monthly searches. Okay, so far pretty simple, right? And we've done keyword research before together, so you should be pretty familiar with it. Next, you're going to select 3 places to put your AdSense ads. This is the same link that I showed you earlier. Okay, this is the AdSense help file that shows you where you can put things. Just pick 3 places on your blog, whatever makes sense, and put them in there. And how do you put them in there? I'll show you in a minute. If you're not already signed up for AdSense, go ahead and sign up. Okay, some people aren't signed up because you need to have a website first. Well, if you don't have one, set one up and then sign up for AdSense. And next, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you this stuff, okay? So you're going to set up a custom channel. Basically, you click on custom channels, add a new custom channel. There's a little button that says plus new. You're going to name it and save it. And you don't need to add ad units right now, and you want to include the website name and location on the page. So let's look at that screenshot. And create a new, let's make sure it's not in here. Yeah, okay. So create a new, did I not finish? Yep, new custom channel, okay? So you just click on that button, okay? And basically the button is custom channels plus new custom channel. Name it, you just put a name here and save it. You don't need to do anything else here. You don't need to add any ad units because we haven't created the ad units yet, okay? You hit save, you're done. The next step, okay, is to set up a new ad. Very similar. You click on My Ads, plus new ad unit, name the ad, whatever you want to call it, and select an appropriate ad size. Now, when you're first setting this up, unless you're very familiar with your blog, you might get the size wrong. And I've done this before. I've picked something that was too big or too small, it looked kind of funny. Okay, so if that happens, you'll just create a new ad unit. Okay, you can't change the size of an ad unit that's already created, at least not from my experience. Someone here might know better than me. Again, select both text and image ads. Why? Because you're going to let Google and the advertiser decide what works best. You're going to select backup ads. Okay, and usually I select blank space, but you can also place other ad code from another ad network. So earlier when someone asked me about Ghostery, that plugin that I have that shows which all the different plugins and ad networks on a website, you can use that to help you find other places to advertise and other things that you can do, okay? To save time, I usually just select a blank space. In the past, I've done something else, but that was back when I didn't even know SEO and my site never showed up, and so it didn't matter. Okay, and what you can also do actually is place a CPA ad there if you want, okay? But what you want to see is you want AdWords to optimize for you, is what you want, okay? You're going to add the custom channel, and I'll show you the screenshot for all this. You're going to select or create your ad style. And finally, you're going to save and add the code. You'll copy the code and use it. And I'll show you how to insert that. So let's go back here. And when you're adding a new ad unit, very simple. We just clicked on ad units here, okay? And you give it a name. And usually I'll say what it is. Again, I'll give it a full description like Teacher's Business sidebar bottom, okay? And you pick the ad size, whatever you think is going to fit best. Text and image, okay, just like I said. Backup ads, you can show something else. You can actually place a code there, which can be HTML for, a banner that goes to a CPA ad if you want, or another ad network, okay, another AdSense type network, content ad network, or you can just show a blank space. Then you can add your channels. So here's a sample channel I created earlier. I didn't actually show you this, but you just click on add. It would show up here. And finally, you want to select the ad style. And if one of these makes sense to you, again, you're either going to match your site or you're going to mismatch it. Okay. And you can also use custom settings where you change all these colors. Okay, so you click Save and Get Code, and it pulls up this bunch of code. All you do is copy it and paste it in your WordPress blog. So you would go to widgets here, you would open up one of these, and you would simply paste that code that you get, which looks something like this, right in there. You save it, and then it usually takes a few seconds to maybe a minute for the ad to show up. Okay, that's what it usually takes. So let's walk through those instructions now. And to insert AdSense, use text widgets. Okay, now just a note is if you're looking to place AdSense inside your content, here's what I mean by inside content. So if I had an AdSense ad right here, that would be inside my content. If I had one here, that would be, on the side, I would just use a widget to do that. But in here, it's inside content. So if you want in content, you actually want to find a plugin for that. And the way you find a plugin, people always ask me, what's the best plugin? What's the best thing? I don't know. I just find things on the spot. Okay, I don't have a specific one that I use. And so all you do is just go to, again, to your WordPress blog, and you go to plugins, add new, and you just search AdSense. And, see what makes sense from the results that pull up. Okay, and if you don't like the results you get here, search on Google, best AdSense plugin. Okay, and there's a lot of stuff on here. You can read the description, you can try them out, you can see what works, what looks good, what doesn't. Most of the times you're going to need to give your AdSense ID, which is your pub ID, and that's always on the top right of your screen when you're logged into AdSense. It just says pub dash something. So far today, what we looked at was I showed you some screenshots showing how I personally increased my AdSense earnings over the last few months, the last couple of months. We talked about what I did to get there, which is pretty simple steps. And what I'm doing right now, which is keeping track of ads. I'm continuing to split test positions and things, and also keeping track. Okay. And my goal is to find similar CPA ads and make more money with those using the same types of calls to action, text, etc., that other people are optimizing for me. So now I want to take a tiny break to drink some water, and then I'm going to go through every single one of your questions as fast as possible. All right, so I will be right back with you.
We'll assume that Liane is only drinking water because she is a teacher, of course, and even though it is late at night and I'm drinking vodka for medicinal purposes, at least that's the excuse I'm using. And while she's off, I've been looking through some of the questions, and it seems like we've got a range of skills and experiences on here. A lot of people are like me, I guess, at the bottom of the curve, Liane, and they have no idea how any of this works. And this has been pretty impressive. And something I just want to say, you made these PDFs complete with functioning links inside them. So when people get this PDF and they click on it, it takes them to that place where you're telling them to go and do something. That's pretty important. That's a lot of work. And no charge for these. Are you nuts?
The charge is your name and email address, so I can send you emails and let you know about my next webinars, and send you occasional spam that you can ignore and complain about.
Just don't ask me to vote for anybody.
No. So let's so if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna go ahead and go through all your questions. And hey, I know it's late on the East Coast. It's getting pretty late on the West Coast. So if you gotta go, these will be on the replay. So if you left your question and you're like, okay, I gotta run, then no worries. I will make sure that I answer as many as I can. Okay, so a couple of questions about the keyword research that we did, both from Oren and Malcolm. And Oren says, why search in quotes? Searchers don't use quotes. And Malcolm says, are you looking at broad match numbers with the keyword tool? So Malcolm, yes. I'm just looking at broad match numbers with the keyword tool. If you want to get really specific, you can do exact match or phrase match rather with the keyword tool. It's not absolutely necessary, but if you want to go into that detail, you can absolutely. Or, and the reason we search in quotes is to look at the exact match competition or the phrase match competition. I want to see how many people are using that exact phrase in their promotions, because as I promote my site, and you learn this as you watch some of my other webinars here and how I do keyword research, see is that as your site starts to rank for these phrases, as you start to promote for these phrases, you will start to rank for them as well. Okay, so you're basically, kind of almost teaching Google that that's a phrase in a way. Google already knows it, but you're saying, hey, go to my site for this particular phrase by promoting that phrase and not a million other phrases around it. So that's why we search in exact match and or in phrase match, and definitely something that you want to review with some of the other webinars. Definitely not a focus of this webinar, just kind of a small part of it. And Regis, I'm looking at global minimum 1,500. But it's a guideline. It's not a necessity. You can stray away from it. Oren says, when do you use exact match in Google keyword tool? Hardly ever. But again, if you want to be more specific about, which of the phrases is actually getting more searches, is it blue widgets or widgets in blue? That's when you would use that, okay, to compare that. Mike says, does Google always pay the same percentage for clicks? Percentage of what? Do you mean cost per click? And the answer would be no. It depends on the advertiser. It depends on how much the advertiser is paying. Depends on the niche. Depends on the keyword phrase. It depends on
whatever state of mind Google's in that week. They still don't tell anybody exactly how they figure out your percentage, do they?
No, it's a whole bunch of things that we don't know exactly, but we kind of know sort of. And your best part in that is just look for things that usually get a high cost per click and have some good content available for people to eat up and then click. Okay, Darren says, here's my super secret regarding AdSense. You can sneak in more ads by using Google Site Search via AdSense, and it converts. Very cool. I did not know that. Thank you. I will share that. So sneak in more ads by using Google Site Search. Yeah, AdSense. Fantastic. I'm going to try that, Darren. Thank you. I'm going to write that down in my notebook, actually. Google Site Search through AdSense. So learn something new every day. Okay, Ron says, what theme works with your Google ad placement? Any theme. Anything that has a sidebar, and even if it doesn't, you can put AdSense ads inside your content, Ron. Daniel says, nice to track position, but can you track page? You can track anything you want, Daniel, by using different channels in AdSense, by separating ads into different channels. Crystal says, Google said they were retiring AdSense for domains. How do you use AdSense with this being the case? I think what they're talking about, Sistel, is that there are domains that you'll pull up, and all they are is AdSense ads. And it's like, based on the like if you type in facebook.com and you misspell it and all you've got is a whole bunch of ads for social media stuff or whatever people like to do, Facebook games, that would be like something that they don't want. They want content on the site. So if I understood your question correctly, that's kind of what it is. You just can't have a site that's all AdSense. Okay, Gary says, Liane, you can know which ad unit is making you more by running a report on performance reports, ad units, so no need to separate the ad unit from the channel to know that. See, Gary is my smart guy here. Thank you. And I will write that down as well. See, I like these webinars. I'm starting to like you guys because you're teaching me stuff. And as you could tell from the first few screenshots, this is not the, this is not the $500 a day webinar. This is the how to get started webinar. So truly, truly appreciate your expertise. And so report performance reports, and then ad units. Fantastic. Thank you, Gary. And you still want to separate different ad units, so you don't want to put the same ad unit in two places, because that basically would mess that up. Daniel says, where do you get your content? If I'm an expert in a niche, I write it, or I will order content, and I like to get my content from Article Z. Okay, let's see. Vander says, please pay attention to my question. It's directly relevant to what you were talking about. Why non-relevant ads show up on your site? And then Vander says, it's because you might have visited the advertiser's website in the past, and now wherever you go, their AdWords. Oh, okay, so retargeting Vander's talking about. Yeah, so that's a possibility. Right, if you're looking at your own site and you're like, why is this crazy ad showing up here? Yeah, it's very possible that you're being retargeted. But in that case, I would expect to see, like, that Comcast ad, I would expect to see it everywhere I go, and I don't. But that's a really good point. So retargeting plays a huge role. And yeah, I've seen advertisers that do that. In fact, I think it's the Timbuktu bags. I've gone through and kind of like, and I'm definitely got cookied, because then I saw them everywhere, and every single site I went to, no matter what that site had to do with. So very good point, Vander. Thank you for sharing that. All right, let's see. Mitch says, how do you select the type of offer? So I think Mitch is referring to my OfferVault search. So I'll go back there. And how do you select the type of offer? You just decide what you want. Do you want to get paid per sale, which is a CPS, or do you want to get paid per lead? And lead obviously is easier, usually, depending on what's required, but a sale requires a credit card for the most part, and that's usually harder to get, but it might pay off more, right? It might be a $300 earning for sale versus a $20 lead or a $1 lead. Okay, so how you pick is it's really split testing, right? It's almost trial and error and split testing. It's like put both of them and see which does better. Chad says the Comcast ad could be an interest-based ad. If you've been searching for TVs, other than just on tonight's webinar, that's why you get a Comcast ad and only you're getting it. So I'm assuming what's happening is you guys are going to my site and not seeing that ad. I haven't necessarily been searching for for cable service or anything like that, except on webinars. So very possible that something like that has happened. Again, that's retargeting or an interest-based ad. So yeah, very true. And something you can do is open up a browser that you don't normally use. Like I'm on Firefox, I could open up Safari, I could open up Chrome, I could download a new browser, not log in anywhere, and definitely check some things and see what shows up. So you guys are making very good points about that. Okay, let's see. What do I mean by scrub? So earlier, Darren, I was talking about some advertisers will scrub, some CPA networks will scrub, and some advertisers will scrub. What that means is you might be giving them, let's say you have really good traffic. You have the exact demographics that an advertiser wants, and every time they get a lead from you, they're making money, right? So your conversion rates to sales from leads are really good, so they're happy to pay you whatever per lead. But then let's say that your traffic's not the greatest quality. They're looking for female buyers, and you're getting them a lot of young 18-year-old kids. They're looking for 40-year-old females. They're going to start scrubbing your leads. Now, all of a sudden, you're getting 30 leads a day, but they're only showing you that you're getting 10 leads a day. Why? Because your leads are such low quality that they don't want to pay you for all of them. So that's what scrubbing is. Scrubbing happens usually it's done by the advertiser, not even by the CPA network. But sometimes it's done by the CPA network as well, because of the advertiser's request. So, it's something that when you're working with CPA networks, you really want to talk to your affiliate manager and learn these things. And you also want to split test, because sometimes the same advertiser will do better for you on one network versus another. Okay, let me see some more questions I can answer here. we're going to get the AdSense earnings PDF. Richard, I am going to email it to all of you guys who are on my list here who originally signed up for with the when I did the WordPress SEO webinar. So if you haven't signed up, go ahead and sign up. You'll get the WordPress SEO bonus, and then in about 2 or 3 days, once I get my bearings back, I've got again jury duty tomorrow, so I'm like out all day. But once I get back in the groove of things, I'm going to mail those out to you guys, and it'll be added to this list. So give it a few days, but if you're not signed up here, definitely sign up to that. How do I assign an existing ad to a new channel that I've identified, that I've defined as a sidebar? Yeah, and when you're creating the channel, there's an option to add any of your ads, so you can do it that way, Daniel. Ruth says, thanks. I'll give a lot of this some thought and testing. Yeah, I hope so, Ruth, because there's definitely some potential on your sites. Okay, let's see. Does it matter if it's a WordPress site or if I use GoDaddy website tonight and believe it's a CSS site? Mitch, it doesn't matter. I like WordPress because I can rank them faster, but I showed you the Drudge report, and that is not a WordPress site. Okay. Gary says, bye, people have fun. All right. It was nice to have you here, Gary. Another thing to note is that Google AdSense does CPM, where you make a few cents simply by displaying ads. Is that true, Darren? Is that true? So if you have, here's the thing though, how would you look at optimizing there? And you really would want to test that, right? So I wasn't aware of that, Darren. That's another one of those things that I'm writing down. And CPM, for those of you who don't know, is like where you get paid for per 1,000 impressions. Okay, so when you're doing CPM as an advertiser, you're paying per 1,000 impressions. And when you are doing it as the publisher with your AdSense, with your website, you're getting paid per 1,000 impressions. My question would be, how many thousands of impressions do you get per day, and will that make sense for you? And that would just happen through testing. Okay. So, but thank you for sharing that, Darren. All right, let's see. Interesting. So Manana says, I started a blog in December and got only 2 clicks for 91 cents. In January, I decided to change the theme and installed an SEO plugin. Surprisingly, the 2 clicks became 15 after changing the theme and the plugin. I want to say that the website is in the fitness niche, and I have only 1 article. Fantastic. Yeah, it's all about split testing. And no matter what you do, it's all about split testing. Yeah. Regarding, so I'm looking at a lot of answers for things that happened earlier. So regarding actually not getting banned, Ken says clicking on your own ads will definitely get you banned. Absolutely. All right. So Derek says basically smart pricing is a discounting scheme that Google applies to AdWords advertisers who are not having sufficient return on investment for some of the ads in their campaigns. Okay, interesting. And there's a link to it. So thank you. I'm going to share that and send that to everybody. And I'm going to pull it up here as well. And let's see that. Interesting. Okay, so it's in someone else's site. So I'm definitely going to read that later. I'm not going to trouble everyone and read it now, but you guys are welcome to pull that up as well. I sent everyone that link. And it's from masternewmedia.org. So if anybody wants to search it, you can do site:masternewmedia.org and then search for Google Smart Pricing. So thank you for sharing that, Derek. So Donna says, so does the theme and the plugin have something to do with the clicks? I didn't change the ad placements or the size. Definitely having an SEO plugin in there could have helped you get more traffic to the site, and that's my guess. And my question to you would be, did the number of impressions you got go up? And you can see that through your AW stats and cPanel, or you can see that through your AdSense, just like you saw mine when we pulled it up earlier. You were able to see how many page views I got. These are impressions. Opalua says, what keyword density do you recommend? I don't have a particular number that I recommend. I just recommend that you have your keyword phrase in the title. I recommend that you have it in the first paragraph, last paragraph, and if you have a really long article, once or twice in the middle. And definitely related keywords throughout. Amy says, what hosting site do you use? I use HostGator or Bluehost. Steve says, can you place AdSense ads in a right sidebar without any content in that box? Oh, I answered this already. Yes, you can, but you want to have content on your site. And Salma says, using Google AdWords to promote an AdSense site is a bad idea. How would you promote your AdSense sites? Same way you promote any other site, through SEO, through on-page SEO, off-page SEO, promotions, Web 2.0 sites, bookmarks, etc., and just look for those of you who have these questions that require kind of a lot of a bigger answer than what I can do in 5 seconds. Check out some of the older webinars I have on OfferVault. And what you need to do is just go to OfferVault.com and click on webinars, and then just do a search for presenter and find me somewhere in there. Here we go, Liane Carmi. And then just do a search, and you should be able to find all my webinars. Okay, and I've done a bunch on SEO and backlinks and promotions. So, and Jay, same answer to that. You're saying what techniques are you using to get your site to rank at the top of the search engine quickly? That's what I'm doing. So I've got a lot of webinars on that. All right, Moises has a technical question. Can you show us how you can divide the AdSense of all websites in groups so you know the statistics? Yeah, I just create different channels for each one, Moises, different channels for each website. Okay, and that's really important. That's a really important question. Yep, Richard, the PDF again, just sign up here and I will send it to you in like 2 or 3 days, okay? Vander says, you're right, ugly makes money. I'm making $400 daily from foodpages.ca. See, now I got to pull that up because I want to know how ugly is.
Well, as I said, it's not ugly, it's just empty. But if it makes money, who cares?
The guide to Canada's restaurants and food stores. Yeah, it's interesting. So you've got a whole bunch of locations, and yeah, I remember talking about these types of sites a couple of years ago. Yeah, very cool. So awesome, Vander. All right, let's see. I'm just scrolling through for questions I haven't answered. All right, Efrain, I'm going to come back to your question. Efrain wants to know, actually, let's just go to it right now. Can you check out my site? It's ranked number 2 for about 4 keywords. What can I do to improve it? All right, let's see. Let's pull it up. What is structured settlements? Looks like you could start by paying your HostGator bill, unless you spelled it wrong. Yeah, basically you're not going to make any money if you're not paying your bill, because this is not your page, right? It's suspended for whatever reason. So yeah, that would be like the first thing. And if I copied that wrong, just let me know. Cool, let's see. Do you title the sidebar to draw a specific content topic? Nope, I just use the content on the site. Where would you recommend ad placement for in-post or in-page ads? You always want to test, Daniel, but you know, somewhere in the middle of the content, you know, right in the middle of the page is where I would probably start, and then I would test going lower and higher. But right in the center, you know, usually does it because people are reading, they want to keep reading, and usually if your ad kind of matches the page, you're more likely to get a click. Okay, Mike is recommending having a privacy policy. I have a little program that creates them. Mike recommends simpleprivacypolicy.com. So cool. Thanks, Mike. Joshua says, I don't seem to have the SEO plugin on my site. I might not on that site, Joshua. All right, now someone's got a site as well. I just want to get through some of these other questions. It's getting super late. Let me see some repeats in here. Daniel's saying my next AdSense webinar should be on reporting, which I find confusing. All right, let me see what I can do, Daniel. Do I have training on blogging? Lots, Jay. Does the name of the ad have any significance? Not sure, Mitch. Is there a way to know which ads are showing on your site from the AdSense reporting? I don't think so, but I could be wrong, James. I haven't seen that, is what I should say. Patricia says, heat map theme will let you place ads within the content, no plugin needed. Thank you, Patricia. So it's called heat map theme. Very cool. Thank you. And I've written that down for myself. What can you do to improve ad relevance? That's my biggest problem. Daniel, why are you getting irrelevant ads on your site? Is it your content? Do you have good keyword density that someone keeps asking me about over and over again? Yeah, I mean, take a look at your content and see what's going on, or consider that maybe that particular whatever demographic you get to your site does well with that ad regardless of the topic of your site. Okay. And then it could be, the same thing that people are telling me, hey, maybe you're being retargeted. Just open up in a different browser and see if you're seeing the same things. Bruce says, what is the program that has the icon to the right of Finder on your Mac desktop or dock? This one? It's my handy calculator. And it's very useful. Not sure what that's a reference to, but thank you, Mitch. Mitch says that's why she's a teacher and good at it. I guess that's a comment to something Rick said earlier when I was drinking water. All right, we're almost done here. I'm seeing the bottom of the queue. Steve says, how many CP ads do you usually place with your AdSense ads? Can you have too many according to Google? Yeah, lately Google said, they don't want to see too much advertising on your site, and especially above the fold, they don't want to see too much. So how many can you put? Make it look decent. Don't make it look ad heavy. When people get there, you don't want it to look crazy, right? I mean, the right ad in the right place, three ads on your site can do wonders. And sometimes too many ads is too much. It turns people off. And sometimes it improves things. It's a matter of testing, Steve. It's all a matter of testing. It depends on your niche, depends on your site, depends on your theme, depends on too many things to really answer that. Does the number or acronym have any relevance, like Music 411? Mitch, that depends on whether it's a keyword or not. I don't know without looking that up. Steve says Google's paying me for CPM, but not for clicks. What's up with that? Steve, you know what? To be honest with you, I don't even know how to get at AdSense to pay CPM. I'm sure it's a setting somewhere, and I'm sure we can Google it and find out the answer. And that's exactly what I'm going to do after this webinar. All right, Vander says Google pays about 60% of the ad revenue, or at least that's what they claim. So what that says to me, Vander, is that if we look at the keyword tool, Google AdWords keyword tool, you would get 60% of this number, which still, you want to pick the higher one, because the higher it is, the higher whatever you get paid is. Mitch, I have no idea what you're referring to. Yeah, I have no idea what you're referring to, and I'm scared to read it because I'm not sure I understand. But it's your comment about being on campus, wife being on campus. So if you want to rephrase that or tell me what you're referring to, I might have more guts and read that. That might be important. All right, Ruth says, can you use Google AdSense to create ads from affiliate networks like Peerfly to place on your website or blog? No. So here's the deal, Ruth. So AdSense, other people's ads, and they might be running stuff on Peerfly or some other CPA network. right? So you might see stuff like that, and that's where you get the idea, right? Because if someone is paying, let's say, $1 a click or $5 a click or $20 a click to advertise on your site a particular thing, like a school or whatever, or Comcast, whatever it is, then they're making money on it. If you keep seeing that ad, they're making money on your site. And you're getting that $1 per click or that 50 cents per click or whatever per click, $20 a click. They're making more than that because they're paying more. Okay. And if what Bander says is correct, then, you're getting about 60% of that. So they're paying probably almost twice what you're actually getting. And so if they're making money doing that, then taking the same thing on a CPA network and advertising it yourself, you should make more. Okay, it's not a promise because you don't know, but you should make more. So you can't use AdSense to put ads from CPA networks, but you can use AdSense, again, to have other people optimize for you. And then you take those optimizations and you look at what are they running all the time, and then you grab a similar offer and basically just place the offer from the CPA network on your blog. And it's all a matter of just copying and pasting HTML, no matter what it is. Okay, it's all it is, copying and pasting HTML. All right, let's see. Daniel asks, what does Google look at when selecting an ad if you haven't been targeted by a publisher? Title tag, meta description, or actual post content? All the above, Daniel. They look at everything. I think most important to Google is the content. But same stuff that helps your site rank on Google is the same stuff they look at on your page to place the ad. And, basically it's people who haven't specifically targeted your page. They will actually, they will actually go and, take people that they're just say, I want these types of keywords, and they'll place them there. Okay. And then those people decide whether they want to keep showing on your site, because if they're optimizing properly, they're going to look and say, oh, wow, Daniel's site made me, this much revenue, or Daniel's site lost me money. I'm going to either turn it off, or I'm going to make sure to focus on it and show my ad more. All right. Daniel says, do you have any recommendations for a mixed content blog, like a movie distribution site that has content with a wide range of subjects? Basically, you might want to have different units in each page, but that could be really time consuming. Okay, so what you can do is start off on a site wide and just allow Google to optimize for you. That might be enough. That might make you good revenue, and then later on you can customize and have one page that has different setup, just so you can have a different ad on it. Okay, so Ruth says CPM is only a few cents. Yeah, I agree. I would make a lot less if I ran CPM on my blog with the number of impressions that I get per month. I'd probably make $4 versus the 60 that I made this month. All right, let's see. Most of my AdSense sites are products as well, says Regis, and some say that mixing Amazon with AdSense will hurt the AdSense income. Yeah, anything you put on your site other than what you want people to click on will hurt that thing's income. And people will always, almost always, take the route that makes you the least money. So if let's say you're selling LCD TVs on your site, or you're posting LCD TVs, you're posting reviews, and you have AdSense ads and Amazon. And of course, if someone goes to Amazon and purchases an LCD TV for $1,000 and you make, let's say, 4% of that, you're going to make a lot more than if someone just clicks on an AdSense ad. Okay. But yeah, clicks are shared, right? For the number of impressions that you're getting, you're going to, certain ones are going to go, certain people are going to not click on anything. Certain people are going to click on AdSense, and certain are going to click on your Amazon or whatever else you have. So the idea is that you want one action on your site. And the action is do the thing that makes me money, or just back out or exit out. So that's what, like, people who are building lists, you don't want to have AdSense where you have lists and different things to click. You want to have just one option. Hey, fill out your email or don't do anything, right? Or back out. The same thing with AdSense or Amazon. You want people to go to Amazon, don't add AdSense. You want people to click on AdSense, don't add Amazon. It's just the idea of having one action. And Regis says he makes Amazon sales, but not really worth the trouble. Yeah, you know, again, everything, if you test, try new things and optimize, you will improve it. Just like I went from 32 cents in AdSense to, you know, to $60 to $70 in 1 month in a matter of 2 months. And that's going to keep improving until I catch up to Bander and Gary. Daniel says, trying to add a custom search but having trouble. Can you demonstrate, please? Daniel, what kind of custom search are you referring to? Are you referring to adding a custom search on your site? Because I actually don't know how to do that, and I'm going to look that up. So if I figure that out, I'm going to show you on one of the next webinars, if that's what you're talking about. Steve says, what size ads do you find brings in the most conversions? Now, when we're talking about conversions here, Steve, we're talking about conversions. We're talking about click-through rates, right? Because we're talking about AdSense, and I just want people to click. That's a conversion for me. So which size? I don't know. I think it depends on a lot more things than that. And it depends on your site and the placement as well. So it's just one of those things you just have to test. Just like, you know, AdSense recommends certain sizes when you're setting up your ad. They have these 4 or 6 sizes that they recommend. But the ones they recommended actually make less for me than the other ones that I chose. So test and find out. And Daniel has a clarification for us for a custom search channel. And because it's been a lot of questions since, I'm not sure what that's referring to. Click Heat Dynamo works pretty well, Efrain says. Not sure what that is, though. Yeah, and webinars like these, guys, when there's like so many people on, even until now, we're like way late and there's so many people on. When you give me little comments, sometimes it's hard for me to place what you were referring to. Do RSS news feeds count as content? Yep, definitely, Mitch. Regis says, what's your overall average CTR? What would you say is good? A good click-through rate is, that's a good question. A good click-through rate for AdSense, gosh, it so depends on the site and how much stuff you have in there. But I would say that if you get over 1%, that's pretty good. And some of the more advanced people might disagree with me, but I'm not sure. Okay. So Mitch's comment earlier that I wasn't sure about was a comment on what Rick was saying about drinking vodka. So he said that Google employees do the same, and it's provided to them on the Google campus. Holy cow. Is that why Google runs like that? All right. All right, so Moises is off to work. Awesome, Moises, have fun. Please adjust your screen so I can see the search terms. Sure. These were the search terms, Bruce.
I got a sneaking suspicion that in about 3 hours there's going to be a boatload of Florida nursing degree websites popping up everywhere.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's find out. All right, so here's the structure element side. I guess I copied it wrong earlier. So what can be done to improve this? First thing I'm going to say is you've got a lot of ads above the fold. I would adjust that a little bit. You're starting off with ads here and here. Google's not really into that these days. So that's the first thing I would say. Lots of ads on here, which is good for making money, but you just want to make sure. So this is like the front page of the blog. There's some other pages here I can see. What can you do to improve it? Definitely check, maybe make a couple of changes with your ad placement. Just test. And these are also ads by Google, right? So you've got 1, 2, 3 units, another one here. How are you able to place so many ad units on one page? That's my question. Because that looks like a lot more than 3. And when I've done that, Google just hasn't shown the other ads. I would, without really taking a good look at this, I would want to know, I would want to maybe have some navigation on one of the sides, make it easier for people, maybe on top or on the side, make it easier for people to find stuff, to go from page to page on your site. It looks like you're working on the on-page SEO, and you've got a lot of in links and things like that, or internal site links. You've got some sharing buttons, which is great. Let's look at some of your pages here. All right, and you've got a lot of content on here. So yeah, so Fran, just right off the bat, I would just say adjust the placement of the ads and maybe make it easier for people who come here to stay or to stick around. And I don't know, you might surprise yourself. You might try a different theme and see if that changes. Definitely look at other blogs and other websites in the niche, and we'll just look for structured settlements and try to have similar colors. And let's just look at a random website in the niche. Okay, so also white and blue. Okay, so financials usually white and blue. They've got a little bit of gold in there. Let's look at this one. Okay, blue background, white on top. This seems to me a little bit easier to look at. Of course, everything's above the fold here that you need to see, right? They want you to fill up stuff, fill out their form. I would just go through and compare your site to other sites in the niche, and check out the backgrounds, check out what makes sites look professional and what makes sites not look so professional, and so on. That would be the first steps that I take. Linda, the place I get content from is articlez.com. I'll send that to everybody. So I'm not seeing any more questions, and I think I think you guys are probably almost as tired as I am. Is there anything, guys, that I haven't answered or that I didn't answer fully that you would really like, if you got the answer to it before going to bed, you would just feel so good right now? Is there anything like that? Yes? Okay, like what? Go ahead and ask is what I meant. Yeah, whatever it is you want, and I just, to remind everybody, so here's what we went over today. I showed you a couple of screenshots showing how in a couple of months I increased my AdSense earnings from really from nothing to something more significant. So in November I made less than $7, and by this month I was already making 63 as of yesterday. And those of you who have AdSense already know that, it does take time to build up and to show. So it's probably a little bit more than that this month. And we looked at some documents, right? I showed you the AdSense earnings, just a couple of tips and tricks to how to start making money or more money with AdSense, with the keyword research, actual placements, split testing, what to do moving forward. And we also looked at the step-by-step for those of you who are kind of new to it, not sure how to exactly do it, just a very simple document that'll take you through it step-by-step. And of course, you can get that in a couple of days. I'll send it to everybody who is signed up right here at yourwebprosperity.com/blog/bonus. And let me just get your last-minute questions so you guys can feel good before you hang up here. James says, how do you know which companies are advertising on your site from the AdSense reports? I don't know that I know that answer, but why don't we just see. How do you know which companies? I don't know that you can tell that, James. I'm going to write that down, you know what? And I'm actually writing that down in my notebook. But usually what I do is is I actually, I just scout out my site. I just take a look at what's going on in there. I'll open it up and look, and I'll just see what keeps showing up. Because I don't so much care who's advertising, here and there. I care about the stuff that shows up over and over and over again. Because those are the things that I know are working. So I know that doesn't answer your question, but I hope it kind of gives you a little hint to it. And then when I find out the answer, I will share. Is that the AdSense reporting tool you're showing there? Yeah, the screenshots right here. Yeah, this is just from my. It's a screenshot from my AdSense. I just logged in and I selected the time frame, which was this month, and yeah, that's all that is. It's basically it's on the home page of AdSense when you log in. Daniel wants to be reminded if you do phrase or exact match on the keyword research. I will do phrase match. Some people call it exact match. But when I'm searching on google.com, I will put quotation marks around it to see the competition is what I'm going to do. And in the Google Keywords tool, I just use broad match usually. But some people have been asking me about using phrase match there. And it makes sense when you're comparing two different versions of the same phrase, putting one word first versus last. James says, thanks. You are very welcome, James. Robert says, on a new site, do you recommend waiting for a period of time before placing AdSense or affiliate links on the site? Not really, Robert. As long as your content's good, you shouldn't worry about that too much. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. But, again, it's one of those things. It's like people tell you stuff. Just test it. Put up 2 sites, put ads on one, don't put it on the other and see what happens. And, I don't know that it's going to make such a big difference. As long as you have a good amount of content on your site starting out, I think it's fine to have ads starting out as well. Yeah, James, I just monitor what I see on the site to determine who's always there. Awesome. All right. And can I see that via analytics as well? The AdSense integration. Ooh. Maybe. I didn't even think to look at my analytics. What a great question. You know what, James? I love your questions. Thank you. I'm going to be looking a lot of that stuff up, and I will share it with you on one of the next webinars, or I might email about it. But thank you for that. Thank you for these questions, because that didn't even occur to me to think of that. Mitch says, awesome insight for a newbie like me. Awesome, Mitch. Glad to hear it. James says, how do you figure out what niches to search for initially, or do you just get lucky? Well, James, did you see how I asked people for niches and they started throwing out things, half the stuff I wasn't even familiar with? You can just, start with that. I listed off a bunch, and actually someone wanted to see that stuff, right? I always recommend starting with something that you're interested in, and then you learn from there. But I mean, just by putting this stuff in that people told me, I knew about iPads, but I knew about personal finance, and I knew about hair loss. I didn't know about nursing. I didn't know about raised bed gardening. And, lo and behold, nursing is this huge deal, right? With these huge, lots of searches and high cost per clicks. And, hey, that's a winner. So take a recommendation. And like Rick said, everybody on this call can set up a nursing website now. All right. So Linda says, broad match on keyword tool and quotes in Google search and less than 50,000. Yeah, Linda, and that's only a guideline. Less than 100,000 is good too. I've got sites ranking for terms that are in the millions, and that's just because they've been around for a while and I've promoted them for a while. But starting guideline, you're just setting up a new site, you want it to rank. Yeah, you want to go for something like under 50,000 and at least 1,500 global monthly searches. All right. Robert says, how many pages constitute a good amount of content? I would start with like 10 to 20 pages, Robert. Does it work in Spanish? Yeah, of course. It works in any language, Mitch. Any language. Yeah. And it's easier to rank sites in Spanish because there's less competition. So, cool. Well, I am not seeing any more questions. It is super late. I'm tired here. Those of you on the East Coast and, Central Time and Mountain Time are probably just absolutely ready to go to bed or work if you're working nights, or if you're in another country. I don't know, maybe you're asleep already. I appreciate your time, and I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was helpful to you. You know, in the beginning, Rick sent out that survey, and you know, about 31% of you either didn't know what AdSense was or never tried it. About close to half, you know, we're making just more than half, we're making just a little bit. So I'm hoping that those of you who've never tried it, you know, you've got some ideas of how to get started. I'm hoping that those of you who are making a little bit like I was before are ready to ramp it up a little bit with a little bit of testing and some changes and adjustments. And those of you who are buying a next new boat next week, I do truly appreciate all your comments and input. I always learn from these, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone here. So James says, was very helpful, and I've got a follower now. Thank you, James. Thank you. And thanks, everybody. And Rick, thank you for staying up so late again. And I hope that you enjoyed it.
And Liane, as always, you hit the button every time you come on here, guys. Remember, she's here when we can get her, and send your cards and letters to Mark Roth at OfferVault if you like what you hear, and she'll come back and if you survive jury duty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we won't know who you're voting for, but maybe we'll see you one night on CSI or something. Thanks so much, Liane.
All right. Good night, everyone.